Sound design.
Okay, I have a crazy question for you. If we're measuring a high-pass filter here, and we can see here on this phase graph that the phase is shifting up, so here is 0 degrees, right? And the phase is shifting up because of this high-pass filter, then does that mean that the output is preceding the input? Have we somehow created a time machine? So that's what I want to look at today. A few months ago, I taught a course called Intro to the Phase Graph, and I enjoyed it a lot, and my friend Michael Curtis took that course. And afterwards we were talking, and he said, you know, one thing really confused me. You showed that low-pass filters create negative phase shift, and high-pass filters create positive phase shift, but how is that possible? Because doesn't that mean that the output is preceding the input if we have positive phase shift? And I said, why are you asking me these questions? I was happy. I was happy before Michael asked me this question. But then once he put this question into my mind, I couldn't let it go. So I asked Francisco Monteiro, who is the creator of Crosslite, which is what we're looking at here. And then he made a video about it. And so I'm basically going to duplicate his video now. So if you want to see his original video, look in the comments for this video. You should go watch that. He explains it better than I do, but I want to try and replicate his results and do my own learning here and explaining of it. So I hope this is helpful for you. All right, so let's dive into this. So let's first turn off everything and just measure a microphone cable here so that we're all on the same page. Here we go. So we've got flat magnitude response here and flat phase response here. And we've got, on this y-axis over here, we've got magnitude in decibels, frequency in hertz across here, and then we've got phase in degrees on this y-axis. So we're looking at magnitude and phase both on the same graph. So let's insert a low-pass filter at 1000 hertz. What do we expect to see? Because we should always have some expectation of what the graph is going to show us before we take that measurement, right? So what do we know? Well, we inserted a low-pass filter, so we expect to see some amount of negative phase shift. We expect this region above the cutoff frequency to shift down this way. But by how much, I don't know, because on this EQ over here, it doesn't give us the slope. Okay, it may be somewhere, but I don't see it. But that's what we expect to see. And we expect to see some amount of attenuation at the cutoff frequency here at 1 kilohertz. So let's go ahead and measure it and find out. Okay, there we go. As we expected, some amount of negative phase shift. And now we can look at how much. So here we are at 1K. How much phase shift? Looks like 90 degrees. What does that mean? This is some flavor of a second order low pass filter because we know that every order adds 45 degrees of phase shift. So 90 divided by 45 is 2, second order filter. And we see that we have about 3 decibels of attenuation. So this is probably Butterworth, bezel, something like that, that has this characteristic of 3 dB of attenuation at the cutoff frequency. Okay, and let's go one step further. Let's double down on this filter. Let's add another one, exactly the same shape. And so we should expect to see double of everything, right? So instead of 90 degrees of negative phase shift, we should expect to see 180 degrees. And instead of 3 dB of attenuation at the cutoff frequency, we should expect to see 6. So let's measure it. And there we go. So where we had 90 degrees of phase shift, now we have 180. And where we had 3 dB of attenuation, now we have 6. So that's low pass filters. Let's go in the other direction. Let's put a high pass filter in at 1K. And right before we measure it, we should have some sort of expectation. So with the low pass filter, we saw 90 degrees of phase shift in the negative direction. So going down, this time we should expect to see 90 degrees of phase shift, but in the positive direction, right? Below the cutoff frequency down here. So let's measure it. And there it is. So the same 3 decibels of attenuation, right? But this time, instead of negative phase shift, we have this weird positive phase shift that we're going to talk about. And just to be complete, let's also do the same filters so we can see that 180 degrees of phase shift. And there it is, 180 degrees of phase shift and 6 dB of attenuation. Okay, but maybe you knew all that already. And if you've taken my Intro to the Phase Graph course, then you've seen this stuff and you know these shapes. So this doesn't answer the question yet. What we want to look at is something on an oscilloscope. So let's take these off again. Let's start with just a microphone cable. Let's switch to looking at the oscilloscope and let's look at a sine wave at 1000 hertz. Okay, let's zoom in, zoom into the very beginning of time here. We've got our reference down here in the bottom, and we've got our measurement microphone up here in the top, and we can see that they are synchronized. Here we have the beginning, and then here we see 1 revolution. So I think it's easier to actually line up the peaks. So let's look at the peaks. Here's the start, here's the end. So we are familiar with our phase wheel, right? Here's the phase wheel, starts at 0 degrees and goes all the way around to 360. So let's write that in. So we'll have 0 degrees, and then this is going to be 360. And that means that we can find the milestones between 0 and 360. So we know that this is going to be 90 degrees, and then this down here is 180, and then this over here is 270. So I hope this helps. You can kind of see this is a circular representation. Here's the phase wheel, and then here it is linear, on a linear scale as we go around the phase wheel of this sine wave, 0, 90, 180, 270. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and insert that low pass filter, and what do we expect to see? We talked about how a second order low pass filter creates 90 degrees of phase shift at the cutoff frequency. So where is 90? So 90 is here. So we expect to see this guy go this way until it gets here. So let's try that out. I'll insert it, but I'll bring it in gradually. And so I'll start the measurement, and then you watch this area up here, and you tell me when it gets to be 90 degrees of phase shift. Remember, it's where these 2 arrows are pointing. Okay, so you've seen it move a little bit. You're watching this peak up here. So we're going to keep going. Hasn't quite made it there yet. Keep watching that peak. And I think we made it. Okay. And it should be no surprise that we are almost at 1000 hertz. I overshot a little bit. There's 1000. And there we go. That peak has shifted 90 degrees. And if we wanted to, we could go ahead and see 180 degrees. And now these look like mirror images of each other. Okay, so we'll turn these off. It shifts back. And now what's going to happen if we insert that low pass filter? Well, now is the moment of truth, right? I asked you at the beginning, is it possible that the output could come earlier than the input? So if that's true, then what's going to happen next is this peak is going to shift this way. And if it does, I don't know, maybe a time warp.
The encounter could create a time paradox, the results of which could cause a chain reaction that would unravel the very fabric of the space-time continuum and destroy the entire universe.
So I'm going to do the same thing. I'll turn this on, and I'll slowly bring up this high pass filter. So watch this peak here and see what happens. Okay, I'm up to 600 hertz. Whoop, there it goes. You can see it moving to the left, little by little. And there we go. Once the peak gets here, I know it's moved about 90 degrees. I can see we're at about 1000 hertz. Again, I overshot. So there's 1000 hertz. And there again is that 90 degrees of phase shift. We can see it lining up with those milestones that we had earlier. So how is this possible? Just to be clear, let's insert 2 of them. There's your 180 degrees of phase shift, but moving in the opposite direction. Well, I think to reveal what is happening here, what we can look at is some changes in magnitude. So I'm going to turn on this amplitude modulation, and we're going to make it turn off and on kind of abruptly. There we go. And now if we turn this off for a second, you can see that it's getting attenuated by 12 dB, and then all of a sudden goes back up to 0 for a little bit and then goes down again. And we can see that it happens really abruptly here, right? So it's going along nice and peacefully, and then it jumps up in this little transition. And then up here, we can see that it's making its way back up to full power. Okay, so let's insert that low pass filter again. We expect to see 90 degrees of phase shift. Actually, let's go ahead and do 2 low pass filters. So we expect to see 180 degrees of phase shift. We measure it, and now we zoom out. And then when we zoom in, we can see some kind of interesting things. So we still see this mirror image that we saw before, right? Valleys to peaks, peaks to valleys. Now there's this interesting kind of transition area here where the amplitude shoots up here, and then it looks like kind of over time, like it doesn't happen immediately, right? First we're here, and then we slowly get up to full power here. To whereas this one like shoots up right away, and this one just like takes a little bit longer, and it's not 100% aligned here. It's a tiny bit off, and then here it's 100% aligned again. This may not be super impressive to you, but let's see what happens when we go in the other direction. So let's turn on those high pass filters, and now let's take a measurement again. And we need to zoom out and find those peaks. Wow, look at that. Okay, let's zoom in to the start here. Now we see something pretty interesting. So there's this like continuous region that's happening here once everything sort of evens out. But then there's this weird transition region in here where not only do we see, you know, the amplitude catching up, but we see the squirrely thing happening in the phase here that's actually distortion. So as it tries to jump up in amplitude, then the filter is doing its work. And so there's this weird thing here where it like jumps down and then it goes back up again. What this looks like to me, and I don't know if this is the proper way to talk about it, but what this looks like to me, at first it comes up and it says, oh, here I am. And the filter says, no, 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 you're supposed to be way over here. Okay? You're coming up here, but no, no, get back over here. That's what this looks like to me, is that it's coming up and then it says, no, 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 get into place. So while yes, it does appear that the output is preceding the input, it's because it does this jog forward here to get into the right place. And so if we go back to the last thing I want to show you again is just measuring this filter again. My understanding now is that while this appears to be the output preceding the input, it's actually just a graphical representation of what's happening. We have not actually created a time machine. The output is not actually coming before the input. It's just jogging around the phase wheel a little bit as the filter is doing its work to create that phase shift. I hope that was helpful for you. If you have some helpful ways of understanding how these filters work, I hope you'll let me know. So type them into the comments below this video. All right, thanks. Sound design.